up the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbonites off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy. The carbonite is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo. I'm hiding solo. I'm hiding solo. I'm hiding solo. Solo. Picking up my plaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my Falcon, whoopie on my side. I'm solo. I'm hiding solo. I'm hiding solo. I'm hiding solo. Solo.
Okay, I can see you have some skills, but now it's my turn.
All right, I have too many mice. That's what I realized.
As in microphones?
I have too many mice on my desk. I was moving the wrong mouse. So we started late here.
I thought you said mics.
I have too many mics too, but happy Wednesday, Ken.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you. A little late start, so people are going to have to stay up a little later this Wednesday, but that's not bad. So, Ken, before we even start, where can people find you?
Well, sometimes I'm bounty hunting across the galaxy with Todd and Ken, and other times I'm just a rambling Star Wars fan. And you can find me on Facebook and all those places where you listen to podcasts. And when you're not hanging out with me, what are you doing?
Well, I'm usually working. I would say I used to say I was working on Zoe's stuff, but she's kind of taken that. But I'm actually working on her prizes for her stuff. But you can find me here on the Inflatable Falcon, and you can listen to at least some of my influence, my Phantom Menace on Star Wars Geek Girl. And then John, who is not here. So if anyone sees John out in the wild, please tell him that we need him back. We need someone to run the nav computer. What would he do if there was 3 people on the Falcon? What would you do, Ken? What was your job? I picture you like I picture you as like the Spock. Is there a Spock in Star Trek? Like, what would be the Spock character on a ship?
In Star Wars, I don't think there's an equivalent because nobody's that smart.
No, but you know, like if something broke, I feel like I could fix it, but I would need you to tell me what's wrong.
That's possible, and because even if I don't know what it is, I'd make something up. And when I'm not doing that, I'm probably the guy who's just putting the stuff in the back. You know,
So I picture John would be the Lando.
because he's fashionable.
Yeah, I picture him in a. I mean, we already see him in the Star Wars garb, but I think he has a fashionable life without.
Yeah, he's definitely more hip to the fashion stuff and the trends than we are. That's for sure.
So, and you know, today got away from me, and I didn't even think of a topic. But I don't know did we talk about what the topic was going to be today?
No, but I have an idea.
What's your idea? And I'll tell you my idea, and we'll mix them together and make
a stew.
Yes,
a podcast stew. So I've been wondering. I've been around for a while. I've been lucky enough to go to some events and see some people, but there still are a number of people that I would love to talk to. Okay. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk through a couple of those people that we haven't met yet, and what we would ask them, what we want to talk about.
Okay. Well, mine was similar to that. Mine was like, well, since it's October, Halloween's coming up. Think of all the things that costuming has done for us. Because we've talked about what Star Wars has done for us, but costuming has opened up even a different avenue of the fandom.
Yeah, that's true. And not even just the fandom, but the skills needed, at least in terms of how we costume,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
to build things, or in some cases even network.
yeah,
You know, so I got to meet this person who made gauntlets, or talk to that person who prints blasters, or whatever. So it has created some interactions that I wouldn't have guessed were possible. So yeah, that could be absolutely fun. And we
yeah.
could actually start with that one right after Costume Corner.
That sounds good. So let's start with before we get to costume corner. Let's start with, have you trooped at all?
No,
I got the wrong mouse again. I lost my mouse on never hook up 3 screens. You haven't done any events or anything like that?
nope.
No. Yeah, I have not. I have not done any events, but I have some coming up.
That's
How
right.
about
You got
you?
the Perryville thing, right?
I have the Perryville thing coming up in 2 weeks, the night before Halloween, which makes it very difficult for me. But we already have 3 troopers signed up. So,
That's cool.
and then I have an unofficial Star Wars event next Wednesday. So we might have to rethink our time for next week because it's at my wife's school. So they're doing like a candy hallway thing, and
Mhm.
she decided, like, in her room she's just going to set up a little Star Wars, and I think it's just going to be me and Marcus. I think are going to do that.
Oh, that's cool. Is he coming as the Gonk Droid Jawa?
I said, hey, you can dress any costume you want, but the Comic Droid Jawa would be pretty wild, because that seems like one of those ones you really wouldn't get to wear many places.
Well, and it would be one of those like really surprising ones,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's a robot and it's a Jawa riding the robot. So,
Well, and
that-
then this is in, and again, I've been pretty good this year about not starting new costumes. But after talking to him about the Gonk Droid thing, I was like, remember the scrappers from Force Awakens? They
Mhm.
kind of looked like Jawas, but had a different face. I think they had like an
Yep.
armor. But I was thinking, wow, what if I did a scrapper that was carrying scraps, and I could be the scraps on their back? Because I saw someone do it with a Jawa carrying like a BB-8, and the person's head was in the BB-8 top.
Well, that's kind of creative.
So
And see that to me is a wonderful leap, into the topic you were thinking about, because just like I haven't done any trooping, I also haven't done any costuming.
okay, well,
Um,
my costuming is, I did a Lord of the Rings thing, and I did 2 Star Wars
because of
things.
our conversation last week.
Kind of, maybe, I don't know. So I did the animated Stormtrooper helmet, right? And I should have brought the box of stuff. This is not I don't get sponsored by these, but Smooth On makes a stuff to brush on 3D prints. Did you see the picture of that Stormtrooper helmet?
No.
Oh, well, I posted on Facebook something like that. It made it like glass with one brush, no sanding. So I might use this stuff on another helmet just to make sure it's not a fluke. But all the print lines were gone. Like, it was just brush it on, done.
That's really cool.
So I'm doing an animated Stormtrooper helmet for Zoe's bingo. I just got in a text. I want to make sure it wasn't Zoe, like, saying, don't say anything about it, but she did. StarWarsGeekGirl.com/bingo, I think, is doing a bingo, and one of the prizes is going to be this helmet.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah, it's good and bad. I mean,
You heard it here first, folks.
yeah, it's good and bad, because it's like she picked the exact worst month for me to
Kids don't care.
I know.
Kids don't care.
And then I found, like, when I was cleaning my garage, I found, what's the wooden thing that Hera had? That wooden thing that,
The Kalatiki Tori, that thing.
yeah, something like that. I found one of those I had printed in wood filament, and so I'm putting that together, and that'll be another prize for her to give away.
That's a very cool prize.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to paint it, because it's like an orange. So I think I'm going to spray paint it orange and then sand it so the wood comes through.
So are these prizes meant to be finished prizes? Or are they meant
Yeah,
to be?
yeah, they're gonna be the stormtrooper helmet. I'm hopefully finish it up Saturday. Like I got it all smooth now. I just gotta paint it. And October now it was 90 degrees last week, and now it's down to like winter weather. So that's a whole nother fun times. But um, and then she's given away like a Black Series Kanan. Um,
Well, I
three
don't
and
know if you
three.
should be telling all the stuff.
Huh?
Don't tell all the stuff.
Well, no, she's posted up. She posted up a picture of the Black Series Kanan. I think I'm trying to think of the other stuff. She has a bunch of stuff that she's slowly posting up pictures. But you have to go to StarWarsGeekGirl.com, sign up. Ken, you should sign up and get a bingo card.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm going to be available that night. That's the problem.
I know, but just to get a bingo card, just so anyone out there, even if you're not available that night, get a bingo card.
I don't want to take a possible winner from someone.
No, because bingo, if you don't win, it goes until someone wins.
Fair enough.
You understand? Like it's just I don't really remember how to play bingo, but I remember playing bingo with my grandmother, and I think they play until someone wins. It's not like
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then so I worked on that, and then the Lord of the Rings sword. Sappy asked about a sword for her Halloween costume, and I found a Aragorn sword, the broken one.
Mhm.
Well, there's one that telescopes out, and it folds in. It's the broken one, and so I printed that.
Oh
And
wow, that's pretty creative.
I should have brought it down here, but the glue was drying. But that was another one. It was just like it just took way more time because it's so many intricate pieces. Like I couldn't just throw them all on the printer and let them go to town. Like I wanted to make sure each individual piece printed separately, which
Which extends the print time.
it's not even the print time. It extends because if you're standing there watching it, as soon as it's done, you switch it. It's the same amount of time, but it ends at noon and I'm at work.
Well, that's what I mean by extends print time, is because you're not there to do that transition, or to even be there for quality control should something happen.
Yeah, I ordered a camera for my printer. It's not here yet, but I ordered a camera for my new printer that I can watch on my phone and shut off. That I can shut if my printer goes haywire somewhere. I can shut it off remotely. That's the plan.
And what's going to happen is you're gonna put that in the dog's crate.
Yeah, probably.
So you're gonna be watching the dog from.
Well, no, I think this one plugs into the printer. Now I don't know if I think the software. I think it takes out the print head, so if you time lapse it, it just looks like the print growing.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
The print bed.
Oh, so the camera itself is attached.
It's actually attached to the printer.
Oh, see, I thought you were getting a camera to view.
I thought about that before I saw this camera. Now I don't know how good this camera is. But the company offered one. I was like, yeah, I'll try it.
Well, they have 4K digital cameras that are smaller than GoPros now.
Yeah. Well, and then our last so that's it for me. Other than I did go to, is that Big Boy Toys?
Big Kid Toy Store.
Big Kid Toys.
In New Egypt, New Jersey.
New Egypt, New Jersey, yes. Which was a hike. Me and Missy we wanted to take the dog somewhere to walk Sunday, and we were just like driving that direction. I was like, hey, let's just, so we probably took us longer to get there than it normally would, because we were already like heading, we were actually gonna go up to Bethlehem and get some donuts and find somewhere to walk the dog. So we veered from there and just ran across.
So instead of going to Bethlehem, you went to Egypt?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah. So
were you following the bright star?
Yeah. But then we were waiting the Susquehanna, or no, what's the river? Schuylkill River parted, and we just drove right on.
Couldn't find three wise men in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I've been here since 2005 and haven't found a single wise man yet.
But it was neat. I mean, I like the facility itself. Just it was an old barracks from. The one guy said World War One. I said,
"Is that what it was?" So I didn't get a chance to ask any of those questions. I couldn't understand why all of those buildings were situated the way they were.
Yeah, so I went there and I went through, and then there was this new guy who was just setting up a shop. He had really nice figures. He had the old micro series. It's Clone Wars figures,
Okay.
nice ones on cars for like $15. So he had nice. And so I was talking to him, and I was like, "Hey, I just have a question." I said, "What's up with all these buildings?" I said, "Was this a barracks or something?" He said, "Yeah, it was an army barracks." Now he said World War One, which I think he probably meant World War Two. I mean, he could have meant World War One, but they looked a little more World War Two ish to me than that, because I don't think we had, it could have been, but he said it was a military barracks at one point, and then in I guess in 1959 is when they started that um, flea market or whatever it is.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it's been up and running since 1959.
that's
So,
pretty cool.
yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean,
And you got to see the Falcon.
got to see the Falcon. I just got to stick my head in. I took a picture. He was busy, and I was going to come back, but I had the dog with me. I was like, I'll have to hit him up another time, because I was nervous with the dog, because I was like, don't lift your leg and pee on like the $6 million man thing laying on the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The vintage $6 million man thing.
That's my only. I enjoy flea markets, but maybe it's just because I'm older now. I look at all that, and all of that, I'm just like, oh, someone just, if you organize it, you could sell so many more things.
Maybe. And maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. That disorganization. I understand that's just how it is. You have so much stuff. You have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
But
in some cases, it looks like, like a toy chest from a earlier year literally just exploded all over the place.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's the common arrangement of those kind of things. I haven't gone to too many of those shops that are, meticulously organized or count. I've been to places where like they have a, 50 of those short boxes, the white boxes with comics, and they're like, yeah, I think I got some over there. Like, you're looking for, do you have any Star Wars comics? Yeah, there might be some over there. Where? In one of those boxes.
Yeah.
Which one? I'm not sure.
Well, the guy down the street, his shop was super organized.
Oh, the other Mike.
Yeah. His
There's
was like
3 mics there.
His was I appreciated his. Like his was a little more.
Yeah, and he's partners with Mike number 1.
Yeah, okay.
And across the street from Mike number 1 is a candy shop that's run by another Mike.
Oh, that's convenient,
Yeah. Hey, have you seen Mike? Nope.
No, yeah.
Or yes.
Well, that's I think at one point in the cul-de-sac I live in, there was like 3 Mikes for a short period of time. There's 3 of us. I was like, there's 5 houses and 3 of them are named Mike. So I think it's an age thing too, because I got my first student named Mike this year. I haven't had a Mike in probably 10 years.
Yeah, and Bree's really nice too. Bree's is, I believe Bree's his wife, and she is big on like movies and VHS tapes and vintage games and stuff. From what I understood.
Yeah, like I said, I would have probably looked through more, but I was just I just was. Hey, Robert's on. I just like I said, it sounded like a cool idea to take the dog. But then after the fact, I was like, oh man.
Well, after 2 hours into the drive, and then you realize you got to drive 2 hours back.
Yeah, and Herbie, he was good, but I was just like, I just don't.
I just think it's funny that you drove 2 hours there and didn't get to talk to Mike.
Yeah, I talked to him for about like 2 minutes, but I must have been there when everybody was there. Like we pulled in and it was kind of crowded, and then we were talking to him. Like I pretty much talked to almost every vendor but him. Because I think he was the only one that was busy,
That's pretty funny. I'm glad Rob's able to jump on tonight. Good to see you, Robert.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say anyone within 2 hours plus should go visit that place. It was just all the shops were nice.
And see, to me, that's a fantastic example. That Mike and his shop and the adventure that you went on all came from costuming.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even really fancy costuming, because when I bumped into Mike the first time, the only thing I was wearing was, I can't remember if it was an inflatable Falcon t-shirt or a Rambling Star Wars fan T-shirt. He's like, you got to check. No, I'm pretty sure it was the inflatable Falcon T-shirt because he said you seem like my kind of people, and you should come. I have a life size Millennium Falcon cockpit. You should come.
Well, that's what I had. I had the Solo Chronicle shirt on, and when I walked in, he was like, "I know Matt." I think that was. Yeah, and then he was like, "And I know Marty." I was like, "Yeah, I know Marty too."
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was.
Yeah, he's
fun.
a nice guy. And it's those sort of connections that I wouldn't have been able to predict as a side effect of costuming.
Oh yeah. That I mean that. Well, and then like so that brings us to the people. To your topic too about people you want to have on, and people like there's people we haven't met yet. So like if we start on that list, but costuming brings us closer to them. But then I think of the people that we're meeting that we have on. It's almost like we have a whole nother venue of people that we didn't know. Like we would have never met Matt, and all the fun we had making the Solo Chronicles.
You bet. There, Matt and Jeff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed that connection would have, brought Ned into the conversation because you don't necessarily know who knows who.
Right. Yeah, like you have people that live closer to you that drove all the way to middle of Pennsylvania, and that's where you met them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's wild, and then to sometimes see these folks out, and to go even further. Let's say they go to a bigger convention somewhere else, where we're like, wait a minute, So actually, when we went to RetroCon, and I was there with Heather, I think it was the same. Was it the same weekend? No, it was. But we ran into Quinn's dad.
Oh right, because you said he had a table there or something.
Yeah,
or
he and one of his friends had a table. They were selling action figures, and he's like, "I know this guy." And then he's talking to his partner, his sales partner, and he introduces me to him. And I didn't get his name. He's like, "Wait a minute, are you the guy with the pink shorts?" I'm like, "What do you mean the guy with the pink shorts?" He's like, "Yeah, Quinn's." And what's Quinn's dad's name? I apologize.
I forget
because I only know him as Quinn's dad.
You're asking the person that's the worst person with names ever. So I have picture attendance sheets for my students to try to learn their names.
So Quinn's dad says, yeah, so he was on the movie set wearing the pink, and I said, oh yeah, that was me. I was repping Ken from A New Hope because he wore pink shorts in Tunisia, So this guy who I'd never met before had heard a story about me in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, wearing pink shorts on a movie set.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully, I'm still hoping. I want Matt to come back on and have some updates on that. We have to have a Han Solo Chronicles update show.
Something. And/or we get not necessarily the show and/or, but and/or we start getting some of our costume friends. Even Rob can get into the mix now that he has a fully functioning Gong Droid.
Nice,
yes. And we start doing a couple of our own shorts, do a couple of our own little things. I don't think we have to do a full-on movie or whatever to just take advantage of this.
You say that, Ken. And you know that's not going to happen.
Well, I say that and in hopes that we do something, because you and I both have talked before about having a handful of skit ideas in our head.
Yeah.
Like I had this one the other day riding to work, and I don't know why it tickled me so much. I thought it was so clever. It's the camera's on somebody dressed like Din Djarin, and all you see him from the side, and you hear him say, I can bring you in warm, I can bring you in cold. And then the camera turns and he's talking about some food in his kitchen.
I was thinking iced tea. I was thinking tea.
Yes,
I was thinking
something. But it's and that's what 50 seconds. Like You know what I mean? Two different shots in a kitchen with
There you
somebody
go.
dressed as Din Djarin.
There you go.
You
I
know?
still want my weekend at Sheeves. I still want the two Imperial officers that find Sheev's body after he fell down the Death Star, and they live at large for a weekend when they think they just carry him around like Bernie and Weekend at Bernie's.
Well, what if you do Weekend with Luke? You just have Luke, his hand in the lightsaber.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know,
Yeah,
punking each other, just leaving the hand. You know, and like, it's in the refrigerator.
I
glove box.
just want someone to do it and just call me and let me be one of the people. I want to be one of the person not in charge of organizing anything at least once.
Yeah, and I think that's these little skit ideas could be perfect for that.
I want someone to just call me up and say, "Look, we just need a stormtrooper to run across this scene, and that's it." And I'll be okay.
Or
I'm
to
there.
do some of these fun, and I'm picking the word fun, where you have a bunch of people in costume in the real world as if they're there, but like I don't know, three stormtroopers going into the milk aisle or whatever in
Yeah.
a supermarket.
Well, and I was thinking about that because you give me that book. I was paging through that book that you had given me. I was thinking about that, and I was like, why? What has changed? Because I felt like I used to do a little, and it's having someone to take pictures with you.
Yes.
It seems like that's the weak link. Like even with trooping nowadays, like it used to be. I hate to sound old, but 10 years ago when I was trooping, if you had a group of 7 people trooping, there was probably 5 people taking pictures. Now you have a group of 15, and you're lucky if one person is taking pictures.
Yeah.
And so you don't get to do some of that stuff because I was trying to explain this to my school. We have the Spooktacular coming up at Perryville, and they're dragging their feet about signing up. I'm like, they're like, well, we'll get it to that. I was like, we're all volunteers. I said, it's not as easy as you think to get your costume ready, to wear your costume. You know what I mean? Like even we love our costumes, but it is draining depending on your costume.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to explain to them. So I have them, at least my school, I said the week after Halloween, we are signing up for next Halloween. You know what I mean? Like they're like, what? I said, you'll get more people. I promise you, if you put it on the books.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all of that and all of that. I mean, because that's the last Weird Al concert circuit that I said to Marty. I said, look, this was like 6 months before Weird Al was coming around for his acoustical whatever thing. I said, he has a concert in Lancaster. I said, I'm going out in front of where he's having a concert, hold signs up. And then Marty joined me. And we just did that and took a couple pictures, but we didn't have a camera person with us. I would have loved to have more, I got to figure out a way to mount a camera on the end of my long blaster rifle that takes actually good pictures. Put my 360 camera on there.
Well, the problem with putting it on the blaster though is just the way that you carry it.
Yeah.
But
the 360 camera doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know, but even still, sometimes you have it, hanging below your waist. Sometimes
that's true.
You'd be better off figuring out a contraption where you can hook it to your shoulder or above, almost like one of those seeker droids.
Yeah,
but they didn't have sand troopers. And
I thought of doing this. I thought of doing the sand trooper staff and putting it at the end of the staff.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Because then, see, even in a resting position, it would still be in a place where it's going to record. Because sometimes with the blaster, let's say you put the camera at the end of the blaster, sometimes you have it above your waist, sometimes you have it below your waist.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
And it comes out looking like the Blair Witch Project.
Stormtrooper crotch shots. We start a whole nother site. That's a whole nother. That's after midnight. Show.
Star Wars After Dark.
After 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so let's go to your. Who do you want to have on the show? Like we were when your idea, you were saying, like, what's a person you haven't met? Who haven't you met?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh yeah, I'd love to meet
Like,
Kathleen.
like I would absolutely, positively love the chance to ask Kathleen Kennedy about 752 million questions. You know, some of them would be in response to the things I've heard people say, and then others would be just like what is it like literally going around the world helping to make these things, knowing that you're making these things?
How is it? How? Yeah, I think I think Quinn met her at
I
Chicago
figure I didn't like that guy.
at Chicago Celebration when he did the Make a Wish.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but I'm going to guess it wasn't a
No, he didn't have
full-blown
lunch
interview.
with her or anything like that.
But I mean, so for instance, I don't know if you've heard the latest hubbub related to Star Wars.
No,
Which
hubbub fill me with hubbub.
So there was a character that was in a Star Wars novel not too long ago. It was a clone trooper who identified as trans.
Okay.
You know, the character's name, they gave her the name of Sister.
Okay.
And she's been in a couple different things, and for whatever reason within the last week or two, it's been making the rounds about Disney and its woke culture and pushing the trans agenda and all of this kind of stuff. And I would just love to know Kathleen Kennedy's take on all of this. Like, I can't imagine that anybody, whether it's Disney related, Lucasfilm related, ALM related, that's sitting in an office somewhere going, you know what? I would really love to piss off a whole lot of people.
They don't have a flip over like a world map, and it's slowly turning. Every flag is turning rainbow or something like that.
Yeah, like it's just because that's what it seems like it's coming out as that when folks are getting all upset that they're saying that they're deliberately ruining Star Wars, or they're deliberately pushing an agenda on someone or whatever.
It was probably in a book that none of them would have ever read.
Yes, it was. In fact, in the books, in all of the books, I think this character has been in 3 books now, roughly speaking. It wasn't this person isn't a central character. This person isn't, the main character by any stretch. And some folks are losing their minds about it.
That's the part where I'm just tired of. I don't even want to say Star Wars fans. I'm going to say I'm tired of people that watch Star Wars.
Yeah, and so I'd really love to hear Kathleen's explanation of it, reaction to it, because I'm going to guess on some levels that when folks reach that lofty of success and involvement with things, that it's potentially, I don't know, because I'm not that fancy, potentially easy to just brush it off and say, I'm not going to let it bother me. And then on the other hand, when there's so many voices and coming from so many different angles, like, you ruined this and you're pushing that, it's got to chip at you a little bit, at least, especially if those things that people are saying are incorrect or not true, or not even close to the reality of things.
Well, I also think, look at what George did to George.
Yes.
Like, you couldn't have got more successful in Star Wars. Like when Phantom Menace and all the prequels came out. That was probably, except for maybe like New Hope, that was probably peak Star Wars popularity when it was all coming back, because it was bringing in new, and they just beat him up.
Well, even with Return of the Jedi, 1983, there was a lot of folks that were unhappy with George.
Oh, yeah.
He did with the Ewoks. I think, that the Ewoks were part of the reason that his relationship with Gary Kurtz didn't turn out better. I think, he and Gary had some rough conversations related to the Ewoks. And many folks thought George was money hungry and just wanted to sell more toys and all that, which on some levels is true, wanted to sell more toys, but they're missing the piece that wanted to sell more toys so he could make more movies.
Right, right.
So it wasn't just I want to sell more toys because I want to swim in nickels like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, I, you know, the thing I always liked about George Lucas was he and Star Wars, but back then I was always happy that he made money because like he never like I don't think he ever like ripped us off. You know, like I'm like those toys of from 1978 are still around. You know, for a $2 piece of plastic.
Yes.
The and what's in everyone's all the stuff you and I talked about today, costuming, meeting people, all of that. George give us that for whatever amount of money we chose to spend.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you and I are both surrounded by.
Yes, and this little video camera view doesn't even begin to capture a 100th of what I possess or what we possess, because Heather has some stuff too.
Yeah,
I want to say that the Star Wars stuff in the house is not all mine. So it's
what I'm
it's
saying,
shared
but that's
collection.
what I'm saying. Like he never tricked us. I mean, some people
And
might think
to that end, continued to gift us, like wanted to give us stories, wanted to give children lessons, wanted to share creativity. And so, going back to this desire to have a conversation with Kathleen Kennedy, how does she balance knowing that she has been involved in so many amazing things, and there's I'll say a handful, a number of people who think she's just awful. Like,
yeah,
how does as a person, how do you balance that? And then I want to ask her some silly questions, like if she could be a character in one of these movies, either one that already exists or one that hasn't come out yet. What kind of character would she like to be? Which costume would she see herself?
yeah. That was my question. I was going to say if all the creators in the world would build you your own personal costume, which one would you want? And then I want to know what piece of memorabilia from any of the stuff she's worked on, Star Wars or even non-Star Wars, like what piece of memorabilia, toy, whatever, does she have in her house that she values the most?
The most, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like Ewan McGregor, I'm pretty sure has a lightsaber.
I'm sure.
Samuel Jackson, I'm pretty sure, has a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And some of those things. I would bet Anthony Daniels has at least one C-3PO somewhere.
Oh yeah.
A suit or a hand or whatever, something.
Yeah. Well, the C-3PO, the C-3PO people are similar to the Stormtrooper, and well, it's like all of us. Like I probably have more Stormtroopers than any other Star Wars thing. And I probably second would be protocol droids and possibly Yodas. I don't know. Yoda just always is like the soft spot in my head. So,
And then there's because I've met Chris Bartlett a few times and I've talked with Chris, but I haven't really engaged in a conversation, or even Ahmed Best for that matter. Heather and I had a chance to spend about, I'd say if I measured it in time, I would say it was probably 10 minutes. That's what it felt like. Could have been longer, could have been shorter, but it felt like about 10 minutes. Just shooting the breeze at one of these events. And he was very kind, didn't rush us along. I mean, there was a line behind us, and still acted as if we were the only people in the room.
yeah.
So to sit down and chat with them about what they've experienced. And to your point, what's one thing that you have, an item that you have that you really appreciate, or what's the reason behind you having it? So do you have a Keller and Beck action figure, a Lego action figure, or whatever?
Yeah. Either one of those, or any of the, I don't know how to say it without sounding mean, but any of the people similar to Chris Bartlett that just kind of got in it, like, because Chris is, if you know, or even if you don't know him well, you can see his journey, you know what I mean, from TK409 to where he's at now. I'm curious about all those other people that have kind of done that, you know.
Well, then you take someone like John Knoll. John Knoll's been involved with Star Wars for a long time. However, he got his start because his dad went to California on a business trip, and he just called up ILM and said, "Hey, I'm a kid. I'm interested in
Yeah,
making movies. Can I come and visit the studio?" And way back then, that kind of stuff was possible. And now look at him. He and his brother created Photoshop, and he's
yep,
been involved in making Star Wars for many many years. In fact, he was the inspiration for Rogue One. Like,
yeah,
how do you get from being the kid who wants to visit a place to pitching an idea to Kathleen Kennedy and have her say yes, let's do
yep,
it?
yep. Well, and then to go back to the costuming part, so that's the people, and I was thinking, like, just as we were talking, like, and making the movies, and just like you and I got to do panels for this podcast at Fan Expo twice, and not that costume was directly about the panel, but costume is what got us to this point. Like, it just kind of was like our entry level drug, our gateway drug into the whatever. I don't know how you differentiate fandom, because I don't feel I'm any more of a fan than someone who is a meticulous collector of, like, the original action figures. There's people that they don't dress as Star Wars, nothing, but they want those original 12 as close to mint as possible, and that's not any different than my fan of just a bunch of Star Wars projects pretty much swirling around 24 hours a day. You know.
Someone said buy more armor. Walker said buy more armor.
Yes, well, I tell you, that is the plague of being in costume. And if anyone has followed this show, me, Ken, and John too, we have a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is really an intervention.
Yeah. I have Royal Guard armor. If someone wants to buy it from me, I'm willing to sell it at bargain basement prices. I just want it out of my house. But yeah, that's the armor. It is kind of an addiction.
Well, I think it's
A focus.
for me it's definitely a focus, and you could say it could very easily be interpreted by some as an addiction. But to go back to your comment about how collectors and costumers, yes, they have a shared focus in terms of the property, collecting Star Wars or building a Star Wars. I think the difference lies in your participation in it. It's one thing to gather things that other people have designed and other people have made. I think it takes a different kind of attention to actually use your skills, or in my case, lack thereof skills, to attempt to create it. So to see this thing that somebody else made, designed, and then to figure out how to make that thing or something as close to it as possible myself.
Yeah.
And to even go one step further than that, and some people do this, and I don't want you to think I'm putting myself in the same category as them. It's a similar category. Creating something unique from that. So it's not just a stormtrooper. Maybe it's a stormtrooper that's entirely covered from head to toe in jewels.
Yeah.
Sequins,
Yeah.
like or the hip hop trooper where yes, it's the armor, but it's painted a different color and has a different shtick to it. Or the what is it called? When it's like retro futuristic, where they steampunk. That's what
The steampunk. Yep. Yep.
Where they take this idea and then they're gonna modify it just a little bit.
Well, now have you seen the Disney Princess Mandos?
Oh goodness, yeah. And I think I've met a couple of them at Celebration and stuff like that, and they've I think there was like Ariel and Snow White and so on.
Years ago, I did I made armor for someone who was making one of them.
Oh, really?
I don't know what they ever did with it, but
And then, along those same lines, even though it's not costuming, think about the folks who take an idea, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, My Little Pony, whatever, and then they go and bake cakes, or they create fabric and sew a dress, like Ashley Eckstein does with her universe. So it has
Yeah.
a theme to it, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars. However, it's applying that theme in a different way. The people that take their car and deck it out to look like an X-wing, or get all the doodads and greeblies on the dash and make it look like the interior of the Falcon or whatever. So that taking the source material, whether it's the movie or something that they read in a book or something that they saw in a comic, and then attempting to bring it to life through something that they've made.
Yeah. Well, and it's I respect everyone's collecting and all the difference. That's what makes it neat, because like sometimes I'll go to they have the Pennsylvania Collecting Society up there, and I stopped in and just looked at that stuff. Like, it's not like I'm out of the collecting part, because that's something I don't, but I respect the people that are really into that.
Yeah, because some of them they don't even just get the thing, but they'll hunt down the prototypes of the thing.
Yeah.
Or they'll talk to. I mean, I was lucky enough, and the story a little bit, that was lucky enough to talk to 3 of the folks that worked at Kenner and Hasbro.
Yeah.
Including Jim Swearingen, who's known as the godfather of Star Wars action figures, who took the little people from Kenner and added some clay to them, and or Adventure People, I think they were.
Yeah.
And made them into the first batch of Star Wars figures back in the late 70s, all from seeing some movie stills and going to one premiere, and it was under the title of Alaska or something like that.
That's funny.
So to take that level of creativity and bring it out into the world. And it's some of those people that would be fun. I mean, I know you've interacted with Judah, who's involved in current costuming. I mean, how cool would it be to not even just talk with him, but say, "Hey, can we take a tour of the shop? Can we like John Knoll did all those many years ago? Show us how these things are made."
Yeah, that's what I should tell Zoe to do that, and she could do it. She could be a correspondent for us. She could be a special correspondent, take a couple videos. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what's neat about it. The people, the only downside is once they get at a certain level, they won't come on as your friend anymore. You have to go through.
Yeah, you have to jump over. I mean, Kristen Baver, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
She's been on. I think she's now the publishing editor, something of StarWars.com.
Is she the head of the? She's the head of the
and she's written several books, and she's been on the StarWars.com stage at Celebration. Like, sit down and talk to me about that. Like, what is that?
Wait a minute, is this Walt from Walt's Trooper Factory that's on? Because that's a celebrity to me right there.
Well, if this is the Walt, then
if this is this the Walt of Walt's Trooper Factory? Because then I'm like, wait a minute, this is a celebrity too. Oh my Lord! See, we have a celebrity. We're like, I feel like we're letting him down.
What in the world? Like, how did this happen?
So I think John has a Walt's Trooper Factory, and I'm trooping with someone for our Perryville thing. I think he bought a Walt's kit. See, Walt's kits are nice, but people always bring them to me because I have a Stormtrooper, and I'm like, look, I'm the worst person to help you because I have a, close your ears, Walt. I have an FX kit from 2006. There's nothing the same. Like my kit was like idiot proof. I'm not that Walt's aren't, but my kit is not accurate. But yeah, Walt's stuff is beautiful.
And
So
where is this factory? Like, Walt? Where are you from?
he is
Like,
in. I don't think he's close to LA because I would have bugged Zoe to go see him.
I mean, we'll figure out a road trip.
Well, Walt, you should. Are you free some Wednesday? You should just come on and talk with us.
Yeah.
Because we. So, I mean, we're just two idiots that are started talking due to a giant inflatable Falcon. Connecticut. Oh, okay. Well, Connecticut. That's our side of the country.
That's road trippable.
Yeah.
That is so road trippable.
Because I'm in Pennsylvania and Ken's in Jersey. So I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking Waltz was West Coast, but I guess I am not in
Well,
my.
then we can officially say that he's on the right coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta take a trip.
But like Walt has done for when the starting of the 500 first came out. This is just my opinion, so I'm sure there's some 500 first historian that'll prove me wrong or something. But in my opinion, what I've seen, the FX kit is what kicked off the 500 first, and I think the next generation, it come from Walt's Trooper Factory stuff. You know, just his kits and stuff. Like because there always has to be that like go-to kit. Like if someone asks me, "Hey, I want to build a stormtrooper," I always say, check out Waltz. So, I mean, I can't believe I feel what's TE? See, when I bought my kit, so I started looking for my first kit. I'm gonna find that picture, Ken. I'll put it up next week. When I looked for my first kit, it was 1993, and Ken's heard this story. It was this newfangled thing called the internet, and you went on, and if you looked it up on a Monday, you might go back Friday, and that website was put down by Lucasfilm, and it was up under another name. Like you had to know the code, like White Space Soldier, all these different weird. That's why you have dented helmet and all these weird names, because Lucasfilm used to try to squash them back in the day. But some guy, I got on his mailing list, and he said, "What stuff are you interested in?" I said, "Stormtroopers," and I think I said aliens. That's what I said. So he sent me a photocopied a picture of a Stormtrooper armor. I think there's a Darth Vader head. And then he sent me a 35 millimeter picture of a Space Marine blaster, because that's what he was making at the time. But back then it was in 1993 dollars. I think it was close to $1,000 without any soft goods. And so like I was like, that's not going to happen. So I just tucked it away. And then when we moved out here in 2006. Missy was like, "Look, we got our house. Kids are relatively normal. You should buy that Stormtrooper armor that you've been talking about forever." And so I went on, and I forget the two companies, and I remember it was FX and some other company, and the FX says, "Comes pre-trimmed with all Velcro you'll need." I was like, well, that sounds good to me, because I didn't know anybody, and then I found out I bought the armor with the giant bobblehead. So,
well, see, that kind of comes back to the people in costuming, and one of the things that I've liked, from a theoretical standpoint about the different costuming clubs, is gathering together to get either giving guidance of helping somebody else put their thing together, or getting guidance from somebody else who has put their thing together. So there's that communal aspect of costuming as well. Folks helping each other to reach their independent goals.
Yeah. And I think everyone is a newbie, and everyone is a expert at one point in time, or even at the same time.
Yeah, so you might be really good with the soft parts, but may not know anything about sewing, and somebody else is really good at using, a heat gun and Sintra, and somebody else can use resin, and.
Walt, I
Yeah.
used to have armor parties here quite a bit, and some people got mad at me back in the day. But yeah, we do. We have some pretty cool armor parties. I don't know if we get much armor built.
And see, to me, one of the strangest parts of most of these things. So the ones that I go to are related to Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know, very few of them have we actually talked about the thing. We've talked very few of them do we actually get into conversations about Star Wars. It's usually about the object that whoever is working on it is working on. But
well, and maybe that reflects back to when we used to play with the Star Wars toys. We never, yeah, we never. When I played with my Star Wars figures, we never reenacted the movie. You know what I mean? Like we had like different adventures with whatever we had laying around. Like I had a lot of Micronauts, so they were just the Micronauts. At one point, it was the Micronauts against all the Star Wars guys. Chewie and the Stormtrooper were best friends for the longest time because they were the only two figures I had for a while. So yeah, the armor parties. I mean, like I'd like to have more this year. I'd like to have them that we actually get stuff built though. Like I think our next armor party, Ken, we have to lay out a plan. Like we need to lay out like a. I was more worried about the slushy machine, the popcorn machine, and the soft pretzel. I should have been worried more about the armor. Oh my Lord, Walt, you're going to make us make a road trip.
if we're gonna do it, we should make a weekend of it.
Yeah. Now, Walt, have you ever been involved in fan films?
You got to be careful asking people if they've ever been in movies. I mean, this is the world of the internet.
That's true.
So,
well, no, I mean, I'm thinking, I wonder, is there a documentary just about Walt's stuff?
oh, that's a good point. So, his one answer is, yes, yep.
Yeah, well, he's like, I guarantee you, Walt is someone's friend. That when someone says I like Star Wars, they're a friend. Just like I was saying, they're like, now you think you like Star Wars, you should meet this guy Walt. Yeah, I'm happy for what Walt has done for the fans, and
one of the coolest parts about it is it's not necessarily something that has to be done.
Right. Right.
It's something you've taken this thing that we've enjoyed and have made magic out of it.
Aren't we all, Walt?
This is the line that says that he's in the right show. He's
well, I've said on this show before. I've said this to Zoe too, not quite this way, but everything now that's acceptable, like when she went to Temple, they were all normal people and they played D&D, talked Star Wars, wore costumes, went to cons. When I was a kid, if you did one of those things, you were never seeing a date. Certain people just wouldn't talk to you. The time we live in is so wonderful in that regard.
Well, and the fact that we have the ability to do this sort of thing, be stationed in 3 different states and sharing conversations in a given moment about this wild story that began in the 70s.
Yeah.
It began as an idea, and George shared that idea with a couple people. Some people drew pictures, other people bent plastic, other people nailed things together, and here we are 4 decades later still reaping the rewards of it. And that's why going back to this, who would you want to talk to? There's without hesitation, like George, what are some of the wild stories that you've had in your head that you at one point said this would make a good movie? Not because I want to make the movie, but I want to hear some of these other things that he had considered.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, Boba Fett was supposed to be, from what I remember, Boba Fett was meant to be Anakin Skywalker's brother, or Obi-Wan Kenobi's brother, or something like that.
Well, that's very Speed Racer ish.
Yeah.
You know, Racer X. His
Yeah.
brother was Racer X. That's pretty funny.
You know, so there's
Well-
all of these things that, you know, we'd heard rumors about or things about, but to hear the stories directly from George's mouth, almost like story time with George.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any of the. I mean, now I can't. I gotta think that Walt Ken's going to hit you up when we're done here because we got to set up a Walt. We got to set up a Stormtrooper episode with Walt. Like we got to get him on camera and he can talk stuff. Oh yeah, yeah. Is he the one? Is he the one? Is he self-published a book? Because I have his book. I'm pretty sure.
That'd be a fun one.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, it's like I would have never met you, Ken. It wasn't. I think of other than probably my wife. I don't think I would know anyone that's in my life without Star Wars.
Without
I don't
Star
even think
Wars?
I don't even think my kids would like me if we didn't have Star Wars. Oh yeah. Like I said, the TK is still my favorite out of all the armor. And that animated TIE pilot, or that animated TK I'm making, it's really cool, but it's not as good as the regular. It wears easier. The helmet wears easier. The animated TIE helmet wears easier, but it's not as good as the regular TK. You don't have to twist the animated. It goes on like a clone helmet. It just goes straight down.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, it's because it was not like if you look at the animated CRLs in the 501st, I feel that the helmet is too small. They look like a pinhead a little bit. Yeah. I like the. I think the only way I would have animated TK armor is if I could get it made in rubber, because it reminds me of like that rigid clone armor that you can't really move. I'd like to bend at the midsection. My FX doesn't let me bend either, so. But yeah, so that's. I mean, we could probably. I mean, I'm thinking like Dave Filoni would be one of the ones I would like to talk to. Mainly because like Dave Filoni is moving it. Sitting is underrated. That's what my job being a teacher, like people I'll be in my TK for a couple times back in the day trooping for like 4 hours and not be able to sit. And they're like, "You sure you don't need to sit?" I'm like, "I have to stand all day at work," you know. But because Dave Filoni is the George Lucas to Zoe. And I would I know it'd be interesting for her to talk, but I'd be interested to talk to, you know, because of what he's done for her.
Well, and I'd like to ask him some of the similar questions that I'd ask Kathleen, like how do you balance the reactions that come from all different angles.
See, if it was me, like since I know that I'm the only one here that's won a golden tauntaun, I would have all my awards behind me, and when I was feeling bad, I would just spin my chair around and stare at them.
Well, I don't even necessarily even mean the feeling bad, just like how do you manage to hear all of these things and not respond louder? So, for instance, not saying that any of them had to, but most recently with the Acolyte, some of the awful things that were said about the makers or about the story itself or whatever, and then to just see and hear this flood on both sides. You got people coming out of the woodwork to support it, and then you have other folks who are just coming out and demonizing the people who were involved, or saying how awful it is or whatever. And I understand, that everybody has the right to their own opinions and things like that, but it just seems wild that same thing can exist and be received in such different ways.
Hey, thanks again, Walt. And you opened up a floodgate of messages from us. So
yeah, Pandora's box, if you will. Thanks,
yes.
Walt. It was great to chat with you.
Yeah, no, Ken, and you know what? I when you were saying that, I was thinking. So we're talking about interviewing these people. I wonder if we interviewed all the makers. Like, say you could get a panel of all the makers from between 70 and 83, yep. 77, 83, and you take the makers now. I guarantee the privacy they had to make, like, probably made it a less stressful environment, even though they were making something new and inventing everything. They didn't have to worry about anyone saying anything about it until it was on the screen. Where now, like, you just make an announcement of a movie that might be made, and they start getting hit with all kinds of stuff before it even starts.
Yeah.
And they say, like, AI is going to kill creativity. That's not going to kill creativity. The people that are going to have to put up with that crap before they even get out of the gate. That's what's going to kill creativity.
Yeah, you betcha. And to that end, I mean, at what point do we start responding to it a little bit?
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to necessarily feed the trolls. I mean, because, not to name names, but this last go around when we talk about the Acolyte, or even the sequel trilogy in general, some of the makers did say stuff, and it didn't go well for them. It didn't make it any better.
Yeah. Well, we didn't learn our lesson from the Phantom Menace, in the sense that when the Phantom Menace came out, the trolls back then, pre what the internet is now, would always, Jar Jar was like their sounding board. They would just say Jar Jar. And what we as fans should have said, and maybe some of us did, I like Jar Jar, and stopped it. We should have just, you know what I mean? We should have just, like if someone starts talking about something with Kathleen Kennedy, we just either need to stop, block, or just let their conversation fall on deaf ears, even if we want to hear it so we can point out how they're wrong. Sometimes that's just as bad as just not giving them the voice.
Well, even like with that in mind, the idea of wrong, there's been a number of things that I've heard over the years, like, oh, Dave Filoni did this because of Y, or Kathleen Kennedy did this because of X. And because we never hear anything from Dave Filoni in response to it, or Kathleen Kennedy's in response to it, that story still gets to exist because there isn't an accurate counterpoint made to it. There isn't an actual rebuttal to it. I'm not saying that Dave or Kathleen owe anybody one, but in absence of one, that rumor, that accusation is out there, and then other folks can then add to it and feed off it. Well, I think Kathleen Kennedy did this because she's really she's an alien planted here from some wild nebula, and she's not a human, and she has no emotions, and is just wanting to ruin everything that I hold dear.
Well, but on a personal level, like, since we all troop, like, I think by some circles of people, I'm known as the idiot that likes everything Star Wars. So most of the time, people don't even come up to me with negative stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Because I just don't engage in that conversation. So if more of us did that, because like you said, rebuttals and retractions never see as much light of day. Even if Dave Filoni came out, did a panel on everything that was wrong, it would only be run on StarWars.com. Like, you wouldn't have all the YouTube channels putting it up. It just wouldn't happen. That's not how unfortunately how it works.
Well, see, I think they would. I think they would do what some of them are doing now, and they would do some sort of a reaction video to it.
Yeah.
That seems to be a really popular thing. Whether it's an actual reaction to it or it's a staged reaction to it, meaning they watch it and like they pretend to cry or they pretend to
Mhm.
get nauseous and vomit in a bucket or whatever. They're doing it for the
My
theatrical.
favorite one was the burning of the Ray toy.
Oh, I never
Remember that
saw
one?
that one.
Oh, that's a while ago. I think it was. I forget who it was, and I don't even want to try to remember. But they like Ray destroyed the childhood, and they like bought a Ray toy, and they were burning. It was bizarre. Like I felt like saying, "Look, they already got your money. You bought the toy. Like it's not like."
Well,
Yeah.
I remember it was shortly after the Black Series figures came out. I don't remember which wave it was, but there was a wave with Princess Leia in the bikini from Return of the Jedi, and some guy wrote a letter about
Oh,
how he can't buy these toys for his daughter now because you sexualized Leia. What
did
is
you
this?
see the same movie as I did?
Like it's wacky, but to be able to sit down, not well, I will say it would be fantastic to meet any of them, whether it's Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Phil Tippett, fill in the blanks, John Boyega, any of them, and talk with them this way. Um, but I think it'd be even cooler to sit down with them at Skywalker Ranch, and just carry on a conversation about like what George, what was it like, literally and figuratively going around the world filming the prequel trilogy? You were in Spain, you were in Australia. What was that like? And I know part of it was stressful, and it's not like you go to these places on the regular. What was that like? What was it like seeing, you know, 20,000 people outside of the hotel, screaming?
What was it like sitting in a food court eating your meal by yourself in Australia?
Yeah, or at least attempting to, you know, you know,
Yeah.
and then just picking their brains, like like with Kathleen Kennedy, what character would you like to be about, or George, what stories would you like to tell that haven't been told?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah.
and at the very end of the conversation, to have the ability to 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 look at these folks eye to eye and just say these two words, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for all of the things, all of the stories, all the costumes, all of the music, all of the experiences that have happened in our lives because of the work that they've done.
The best. So if we had to take us one step further, if if you and I could take some people, I'm thinking now, the best place to interview them would not be Skywalker Ranch, in my opinion. It would be that Mandalorian Boba Fett prop setup in Anaheim, because it was a lot of. It wasn't like, it wouldn't have been overwhelming, like sitting right next to the Naboo starfighter with little Grogu sitting out, or yeah, like, and just ask them like specific and broad questions, like why did like even some of the prop guys. I think of like the Liberator pistols that they use for the Mando's pistol. It's not even a modified pistol. Like it's like the amount of knowledge and just well read that you have to be to do that. Like someone was like, I think of Mando's pistol. Mando's pistol is an late 1800s semi-automatic pistol that none of us ever heard of. Maybe like some gun person did, but someone chose that, and that's become as iconic as Han Solo's pistol. So
Or the
Ken, one of
folks that
these
were
days.
willing to like take someone like a Doug Chang, who was picked to be part of the early design team for the prequel trilogy, who practiced all sorts of different art styles because at the time he didn't think that his skills were as great as they needed to be working at Lucasfilm, and now he's working with people who are in a similar place to what he was,
Yeah.
bringing them into this universe, bring them into this experience of ongoing growth and creativity and development. And these folks get to play in a world that's not real, and this not real world changes the real world for so many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whether you're talking about Walt or you're talking about Rob or you're talking about the two of us, we're talking about your daughter, talking about my wife. Name the names of people you know, and they've had some sort of an experience with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, and then with all the wackiness that is going on in the world, you were right. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan because there's still more Star Wars stuff coming.
Yeah.
We're not talking about just things that happened in the past. We've got pirates coming our way. We've got new droids coming our way. We've got new planets coming our way because the creativity is still happening.
And what, we're like 2 months away from Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, roughly speaking. I think it's late December. I think it is this year that it comes out.
Hmm.
So it's definitely been a fun episode talking about,
Yeah.
and who we would ask what questions to.
Yes, and we'll have to get a hold of Walt if Walt's listening to this later or if he's just still getting ready. Next week is going to be a little bit of a jumble just because I have that event. So we'll see. And again, if you see John in the wild, say hi to him. Star Wars Geek Girl. Here, let me see if I can pull up her I give a plug for my kid here, maybe. Let's see. Share screen. See if it lets me. Ah, there we go. That's sharing. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. So, of course, it's like right in the. Where's my? Let me turn my name off. Maybe. Whoops. Crap. I just did something wrong. Hang on.
You're breaking stuff already?
I know, right? No, I was there. I was trying to. There. It's hid. Why is it hid? Why is my name? How do I turn my name off? That's what I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, there it is. Oh, here, maybe if I go this way. This is probably better. Nope. Oh yeah, there we go. No, now it says visit Star Wars Geek Girl. I can't win. But anyway, check out Star Wars Geek Girl.
Well, what happens if you turn?
Yeah, see, then it just cuts it. We need you anyway, Ken. Oops. There we go. There's that. Nope, that doesn't work. Does that work? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why it's. Let's see if that works. But yeah, it's been a good time. Ken, one last time, where can they find you?
You can find me on the Rambling Star Wars Fan and sometimes on Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken.
Would you guys ever do a crossover?
Such as?
With your show? With Rambling Star Wars Fan?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could have the host of the Rambling Star Wars Fan get in touch with the host of Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy and see if they could come together. Yeah.
Or what if the Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy stepped into the Beskar Bucket Bar?
That could work. And we could even go one step further and flew to the Beskar Bucket on the inflatable Falcon.
Like, do we need to do a trilogy?
Yeah, a trio. Yeah.
Like you guys do a show and you end with, "Hey, the inflatable Falcons here picking us up," and then the next episode we refer back to that show so people that haven't listened to it are kind of in the dark, and then we talk about what you're going to do at the Beskar bucket. And we got a trilogy going.
It could definitely work if we were a little bit more organized.
Yes, because it's going to be the Golden Tauntaun second annual, and Zoe already said she'll do it. She's checking with Lizzie. She had a busy week. Safi was out in California with her, so but they already said they'll do the Golden Tauntauns with us. So
nice. That could be fun.
But Ken, like always, it's been a good go. Actually, remember next week's the last week we can use this format. Then we have to go to the new.
That's right. I got to learn how to do that.
Here, watch this. Let's see what happens. Let me see. Oh, sorry, I can't switch while I'm live. It says switch now, and then I click on it. It says sorry, you can't do it while you're live. So, okay. Way to
kick us out of here, man.
All right, let's see. Outro. Where's my new outro? Nope. Intro, outro. I don't know. Here we go.
Starships, but then my Falcon's hyperdrive just slipped. I used to worry about the future, but then I threw my caution to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree, no, until I took a trip to the treetop side of town. Yeah. You know I heard that wicked rhythm. Hey, I had no choice but to get down, dance. Woo! There's nothing left for me to do but dance. All these bad times I'm going through, just dance. Got cash in my heels tonight, baby.
No disrespect to my man here, but you ready for the real deal, superstar?